The day I said no, she changed the locks. 3 winters passed before she knocked on my door. My name is Amara Jackson, and that moment of defiance in January 2022 reshaped my life. It was a humid afternoon in New Orleans, the French Quarter alive with jazz and the scent of beignets, when I stood up to my mother, Celeste Jackson, a 54-year-old restaurateur with an iron grip on our family. I was 27, a determined woman with a passion for sustainable catering and a fledgling idea for a business, Bayou Bites, still in its planning stage with no profits yet. Celeste had demanded I abandon my dream to manage her Creole restaurant, her voice sharp as she said, "You'll fail without me." The kitchen's clatter faded as her words hung heavy, her staff nodding in silent agreement, but beneath my clenched fists, I harbored a secret. Days before, I'd secured a microloan to start Bayou Bites. That night, alone in a rented room above a voodoo shop on Rampart Street, the distant hum of a streetcar a lonely sound, I opened my notebook, my hands trembling with resolve. The journey ahead would turn her rejection into my redemption. The lockout was a searing betrayal. Celeste had been my anchor. Childhood summers chopping okra in her kitchen, late-night recipe trials, dreams of culinary innovation together, until her control tightened like a noose. Raised in New Orleans' vibrant Creole culture, I'd grown up under her shadow, learning her craft, but her empire left no room for my vision. The ultimatum, delivered with a cold finality as she handed me my suitcase, felt like a disownment, her staff averting their eyes, my confidence crushed. I was an only child, shaped by a father who'd taught me resilience before his passing, and now that strength surged. The pain sparked a resolve. I'd build a catering business to outshine her, prove my worth on my terms, and perhaps one day face her again. I took my notebook to a quiet cafe on Decatur Street, its aroma of chicory coffee a solace, sketching Bayou Bites plans with fierce focus. By February 2022, I'd saved $7,500 from odd catering gigs, my determination solidifying with each recipe. The journey was grueling, a test of endurance. I balanced startup work and freelance catering, sleeping 4 hours a night, my hands raw from chopping and my mind buzzing with logistics. I'd conceived Bayou Bites during a late-night brainstorm, a sustainable catering service using local ingredients, now valued at $10,000 in potential. Celeste's lockout shaped a strategy. I'd grow my venture, target her market, and turn her doubt into my drive. I contacted a mentor, Chef Duval, costing $2,000 for expertise, my savings hitting $9,500 by March 2022. I worked 60-hour weeks, perfecting menus, earning a $1,500 fee from a wedding gig, my resolve hardening with each dish. Building Bayou Bites demanded tenacity. I analyzed Celeste's market, her restaurant with $2 million revenue, spotting inefficiencies in her outdated supply chain. I hired Chef Duval, his insights a guide, and gathered data. Rising costs, customer complaints, her reliance on imported goods. My savings rose to $11,000 and I invested $4,000 in a food truck for testing, projecting $8,000 returns. I attended a food festival on March 15, 2022, networking with vendors, my pitch bold. A local farmer, impressed by my eco-focus, offered produce deals, but Celeste's presence, smirking from her booth, unsettled me. Doubts crept in. Could I outmatch her? Would her influence block me? I pressed on, drafting a business plan on a cafe napkin, the ink smudging with spilled gumbo, a symbol of my dual struggles. The confrontation brewed. I invited Chef Duval to my room on March 20, 2022, my heart pounding. He arrived, his chef's bag heavy with notes. I spread the analysis. Celeste's weaknesses, her market gaps. "You can disrupt her," he said, his voice confident. "Her clients want fresh." I called a former coworker, Tiana, who'd left Celeste's restaurant seeking insight. She visited, her face grim, the data in my hands. "Celeste's stubborn, but she's losing ground," she warned. "Watch your back." The truth was daunting. Opportunity laced with risk, fueling my ambition. The shift was invigorating. I expanded Bayou Bites, securing a $6,000 contract with a New Orleans event planner for eco-catering, my savings climbing to $14,000. My venture valuation hit $18,000, but the rivalry consumed me. Tiana called, cautioning about Celeste's allies, but I hung up, her warning a hurdle. Bayou Bites thrived, booking $2,000 in pre-orders. My focus turned to growth, launching a Bayou Bloom crowdfunding campaign, earning $1,800 in pledges. But tension brewed. A rival caterer, Darius Lee, began undercutting my prices, his tone smug, his menu echoing mine. I uncovered his tie to Celeste, her supplier friend, costing me a $2,500 deal. A sudden hurricane warning hit New Orleans, flooding my truck's storage. I tensed. Was this Darius's sabotage or nature's test? Standing amid the wet chaos, the business plan in hand, I felt Celeste's rejection and a rising challenge. What was next? The flooded food truck and Darius Lee's undercut prices lingered in my mind as I stood in my New Orleans rental, the Mississippi River swollen from a recent hurricane warning, its murky waters reflecting the dim streetlights through rain-streaked windows. The thrill of building Bayou Bites, my mother Celeste's rival, backed by the Bayou Bloom campaign, felt like a fragile victory against this mounting pressure, the humid air thick with the scent of wet earth. My hands brushed the soggy menus, now crinkled and stained, Celeste's cold lockout a stark contrast to my steady progress, a memory that fueled my fire. The insurance claim on the flood damage was delayed, tangled in bureaucracy, Chef Duval's guidance a flickering hope amidst the storm's chaos, his voice a lifeline I clung to. Was Darius sabotaging me, leveraging his supplier ties with Celeste to undermine my every move? Or was the hurricane a random blow from nature, testing my resolve with its relentless force? My pulse quickened, a drumbeat of determination, but I steadied myself with a deep breath, the sound of rain tapping against the roof a rhythmic companion. The crowdfunding earned $2,000 monthly, my savings at $14,000, and Bayou Bites thrived with $2,500 monthly from pre-orders, a testament to my grit. Yet the challenge hinted at a deeper rivalry, a shadow cast by Celeste's legacy. I dried the truck with trembling hands, determined to push on, the dampness seeping into my bones, and called Chef Duval, his voice a steady anchor over the crackling line. "Keep serving," he said, his tone firm. "We'll outlast them." I nodded, the weight of his words settling in, plotting my next event with renewed vigor. The next morning I met Chef Duval at a community kitchen near the Garden District, the scent of gumbo simmering and warm bread baking grounding me amid the flood's muddy aftermath, the hum of a generator a steady pulse. His keen eyes, framed by lines of experience, scanned the damage report and Darius's price sheets, the paper edges curling from moisture. "This is targeted pressure," he said, his notepad open, pencil scratching notes. "Scale your menu and fortify your team. Celeste is the target, her market's ripe for the taking." I agreed, my mind racing with a mix of excitement and dread, the sound of rain against the tin roof a constant reminder of the stakes. I contacted eco-conscious caterers and local foodies, launching a Bayou Feast funding drive to expand Bayou Bites, costing $6,000 and dipping my savings to $8,000, a bold leap offset by a small business loan that tightened my financial grip. At my rental, I briefed my team, 2 cooks, a delivery coordinator, in the living room, the air still humid and heavy with the storm's residue, their faces reflecting the shared strain of our journey. "We're challenged," I explained, showing the evidence, my voice firm despite the damp chill seeping into my skin. Their faces set with resolve, they committed to the fight with a nod, their trust a bulwark against the rising tide. My venture valuation hit $22,000, a modest but promising start, but the stakes rose with every dish prepared, the kitchen's warmth a fleeting comfort. My ascent intensified, a surge of empowerment. I expanded Bayou Bites, securing a $7,500 contract with a New Orleans wedding planner for eco-catering, the bride's eco-conscious vision aligning with mine, and invested $6,500 in organic suppliers from the Bayou, projecting $13,000 returns to fuel my growth. My savings climbed to $9,000, a hard-earned buffer, and I upgraded the rental with flood-resistant storage, elevated shelves and sealed containers, working 18-hour days to refine the menu amid the city's dampness, the clatter of pots a symphony of progress. Tiana called, her voice laced with concern, urging me to avoid Celeste's wrath and the fallout it might bring, but I hung up, her caution a hurdle I refused to let slow me, the memory of her warning lingering like a ghost. The wedding deal added $4,200 monthly, a steady stream boosting my momentum, Each successful event a step toward proving my worth. Chef Duval's update unsettled me, his words heavy with implication. Darius had been seen at Celeste's restaurant, his catering now mimicking my sustainable approach, and his alliance with her, forged through years of supplier loyalty, fueled his interference. "He's protecting her turf," he said, his voice low. "But her business is slipping. Clients are noticing." The rivalry burned in my mind, a fire I couldn't quench, stoked by the image of Celeste's smug dismissal. The pressure escalated a week later, a test of my resolve. A catering pitch for a corporate event was disrupted. Darius's team spread rumors of my inexperience, whispering tales of failed deliveries, costing me a $3,200 deal that stung like a personal blow. No threat note, just a quiet sting that echoed in my ears. My stomach tightened, a knot of frustration, but I refused to crumble. I called Chef Duval, his voice steady over the rain-soaked line, who suggested a public tasting to expose Darius's tactics and reclaim my reputation. I reinforced the rental, spending $4,000 on water barriers and elevated equipment, and hired a part-time assistant, a sharp organizer named Jamal whose efficiency lifted my spirits. The police noted the rumors. Darius's voice caught on a shaky recording, but no legal action could be taken, while Chef Duval traced his supplier links, hinting at a grudge born from past slights. Paranoia crept in. Every delivery truck a potential ambush, every phone call a possible threat. Yet I pushed forward, my determination a shield. I leveraged the funding drive's buzz, launching a Bayou Live tasting series that booked $5,300, the aroma of fresh jambalaya lifting my income and morale, a public declaration of my resilience. Darius confronted me, calling from his bustling kitchen, his tone smug and dripping with confidence. "Amara, you're out of your depth," he taunted, his words a mirror of Celeste's past jabs. "Back off before you sink." I hung up, the receiver trembling in my hand, but curiosity gnawed at me, a question I couldn't ignore. Chef Duval dug deeper, uncovering Darius's past rivalry with Celeste over a lucrative contract, a bond turned sour over broken promises. "He's using you to settle scores with her," he warned, his insight a revelation. I faced Darius at a bustling food market near Jackson Square, Jamal nearby with a watchful eye, the crowd's chatter a backdrop. "Why copy me?" I demanded, my voice steady despite the heat. He smirked, adjusting his apron. "Celeste's decline helps us both, her fall is my gain." I left, his words a riddle that lingered, but the rivalry hinted at a shared agenda, a tangled web I needed to unravel. I mounted a counterstrike, my resolve hardening. With Chef Duval's guidance, I streamed the tasting event, showcasing my eco-menu against Darius's imitations, the vibrant colors of my dishes a stark contrast to his pale copies, drawing 1,100 hungry viewers to the virtual table. I boosted my outreach, securing a $11,500 contract with a local jazz festival, the deal pushing my valuation to $35,000, a milestone that pulsed with pride. The festival's team monitored my work, their approval easing the knots in my shoulders. But tension mounted like the rising river. A tasting was cut short, power outage plunging us into darkness, Darius's laughter echoing from the crowd, a taunt I couldn't silence. The police logged it as a weather-related glitch, but proof was thin, a frustrating dead end. I called Chef Duval, his suggestion of a personal angle, given Tiana's hints about Celeste's inner circle, planting a seed of strategy. The stream gained traction, a wave of support. I compiled evidence, Chef Duval's reports, Darius's rumors, market footage, working late into the night to refine it, my rental lit by a flickering desk lamp, the sound of rain a constant companion. Darius offered a $10,500 truce to end the tastings, his voice smooth over a tense call. "Let's collaborate, split the market," he pressed, a tempting lure. "No," I told Chef Duval, my decision firm. "I want Celeste's market." The next live event arrived, a virtual crowd of 1,600 savoring every bite. Darius scowled as I revealed his menu thefts, Celeste's name surfacing in the chatter, her restaurant's flaws laid bare. The chat buzzed with excitement, viewers rallied behind me, and Darius's reputation dipped, a crack in his armor. As I signed off, he muttered, "You'll pay for this," his threat hanging in the air like humidity. That night, a heavy rain flooded New Orleans once more, soaking the streets and seeping into my dreams. No direct message, but a legal notice from Celeste's restaurant counsel slid under the door, its edges damp. Cease competition or face review. No court summons, just a veiled pressure that chilled me to the bone. I froze, the paper trembling in my hands. Who sent it? Darius's move to protect his flank? Celeste's defense of her crumbling empire? The victory felt fragile, a new obstacle rising like the floodwaters. I called Chef Duval, his promise of a counterplan a faint light in the storm. My rise was gaining momentum, but the rain was intensifying, a metaphor for the challenges ahead. The legal notice from Celeste's restaurant and the relentless rain battering New Orleans haunted me as I stood in my rental, the Mississippi River surging beyond its banks, its turbulent waters reflecting the city's dim lights through rain-streaked windows. The thrill of outpacing my mother Celeste with Bayou Bites, bolstered by the Bayou Live tasting series, felt fragile against this mounting pressure, the air thick with the scent of wet earth. My breath caught as I reread the notice. Cease competition or face review. An unknown force from Celeste's empire contrasting my rising success, the damp paper trembling in my hands. The police probe into Darius Lee's interference had stalled, Chef Duval's strategy a lifeline amid the storm's chaos. Who was behind this? Darius's network? Celeste's allies? A restaurant shield? I dialed Chef Duval, my voice steady despite the tension, the phone cool against my ear. Push through, I said, a vow echoing with the rain's rhythm. We're close. He promised support, his tone a rock in the tempest. The win was mine. Darius weakened, my business growing, but a deluge loomed. The next day I met Chef Duval at a community center near the French Quarter, the scent of damp wood and faint gumbo grounding me, the hum of a generator steady. His furrowed brow scanned the notice and tasting data. This is intimidation, he said. Go public with the takeover and protect your gains. Celeste's the key. I nodded, mind racing, and contacted investors for a Bayou takeover event, costing $15,000, dipping my savings to negative $2,500 with a loan. At my rental I briefed my team, 3 cooks, a livestream host, amid the humid air. We're under fire, I said, showing evidence. They rallied, their trust a bulwark. My venture earned $13,000 monthly, but peril rose. I spent $14,000 on flood defenses, the loan a tightrope. Chef Duval's update came that evening, his voice cutting through a rain-soaked line. An investor eyed Celeste's $2.2 million market, down 20% since my campaign. Her supply chain's the weakness, he said. Take it. I shared it with my team, drafting terms as energy surged. I launched a Bayou Harvest line, booking $26,000 and earning $15,000, my savings rising to $12,500, valuation at $65,000. Tiana called, urging reconciliation, but I hung up, the lockout sting too fresh. The rivalry shadowed my gains. A torrential rain flooded the streets days later, cutting power for 2 days, water lapping at sandbags. The police logged it as weather-related, but I suspected Darius's influence. I called Chef Duval, who suggested a live reveal. I drafted, from lockout to leadership I won't falter. The virtual event, with a backup generator, drew 2,400 attendees. My pitch exposed Celeste's flaws, the story, daughter takes mom's market, boosting bookings to $30,000 monthly, though tension grew. Chef Duval's report revealed Celeste's panic and Darius's recipe theft. She's dispensable, he said. Investors want you. I formed a Bayou Alliance, fortifying the rental with $10,000 in waterproofing and a guard, savings at $2,500. The sabotage probe uncovered Darius's fake emails, costing $11,000. Police raided his kitchen. Tiana confessed Celeste's ego blinded her. Darius's influence faded by 70%. Victory came. Savings hit $70,000 with $32,000 monthly from the line and $20,000 from a Mardi Gras deal, valuation at $85,000. I upgraded Bayou Bites to a riverside kitchen, celebrating with gumbo. But a text arrived, "You've gone too far. Step back." Chef Duval traced it to a burner, likely Celeste's team. I hired a consultant, spending $14,000. A rival outbid me and my site was hacked, but I launched a Cajun Future Fund for $80,000, the Mardi Gras growing to $22,000 monthly. A figure lingered near the kitchen. Chef Duval suggested Darius's aid. I added $12,000 in surveillance, savings at $75,000. Standing there, dawn aglow, I felt a win, Celeste's market near, but the step back loomed. Was it revenge? A shield? I sipped tea, the figure watching. What was next? Hey Revenge Tempest fans. Amara's journey from lockout to legacy is epic. Loved it? Smash that subscribe button and join our crew. Drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from.